Hey guys, what's going on? Happy Friday and happy Labor Day weekend. Welcome again to Snacks Thoughts. I say welcome again to Snacks Thoughts. And on today's podcast, what is my thought for today? Well, today I think I want to maybe hit a little bit of politics, just briefly skirt around it. I was watching this YouTube channel, and it's actually like a news channel, but the name of it was called Columbia SEPA. I was happened to be watching that, and it was talking about China and the United States eventually on a collision course. And so for today, I want to name this podcast U.S. Move Over. There's a new sheriff in town, China. And what is my my thought behind this? Well, as I watched the program, they were talking about how it was inevitable that the United States at this time is the number one world superpower, fastly losing its grip. And China was the emerging number one world superpower. And I said this before in my other podcast about how China was fastly emerging, and the pace that China is emerging to take the number one spot is rapidly increasing. And the United States, where I feel that they made their mistake was that we stopped manufacturing and producing things. We became too much of a consumer nation, and we not producing or selling enough to other people and then to other nations. Then on top of that, we went crazy with the military spending, and we killed our own economy in 2008. That's a big reason, part of it, as to what happened. They sucked the money dry and used it on the Iraq-Afghanistan wars. I mean, it was just outrageous. And the United States, they failed to fill in the infrastructure, which would have kept us, on top had we made certain strategic moves or certain changes. Just because you're number one doesn't mean you'll stay there if you don't make the necessary adjustments or you do what it takes to stay number one. And that's true with a nation, with an individual. I mean, you can equate it to the analogy of an athlete. You can be the best basketball player there is, but once you are known as number one, then you have a target on your back, and you have to do what it takes in order to remain better. That means you have to keep evolving. That means that you can't stay doing things the same way or the old way, because things are ever changing. And the United States has held the number one spot for a while, but it's a new day and it's a news flash. The United States reign as number one is in deep trouble, and they're looking at possibly falling back to probably the number 3 spot, because you have other nations that are linked to China and that China is investing in and working with, and they're eventually going to come up. I believe India is one of the countries that are predicted by 2050 to be a superpower. And if you look at it in terms overall, as a nation, that's not a long time. We're already in 2020. So in about, 30 years? But it's projected that the United States is probably going to fall to the number 3rd spot. But as it stands right now, immediately, they're going to fall to number 2, because China's economically, it's like they can't match China, can't keep up. China is producing at twice the rate. That their GDP is just, going off the chain, and they've managed to take a nation that seemingly was kind of like undeveloped, and then in a period of maybe 20 years, just exploded. And the United States, they fell asleep at the wheel. The leadership of the nation, it became lazy, gluttonous, you know, China, they produce, 90 some percent, of the world's goods. How you gonna beat that? But we became lazy. We outsourced too much, the more difficult fields in technology and engineering and science, we outsourced a lot of that stuff. Went to India, and we figure that we can get cheaper labor elsewhere, and so they cut out the Americans out of these jobs. And then when you outsource like that, you also affect the educational programs. It's basically kind of like a brain drain, even though it's a brain drain on India or say those other nations. But if their best and brightest are coming here and they're taking up those jobs and they're getting educated and getting the knowledge, and our people aren't, then eventually we're going to fall behind and we become codependent. We become a nation that's needy. But it is projected. And granted, in politics and sometimes economics, on TV and stuff like that, they're going to use politically correct terminology, basically a bunch of fluff to beat around the bush. But the bottom line, they're saying that the United States and China are on a collision course for a war in 2025. And I could see that happening, because the bottom line is that the United States, the big wigs or the elite, they're upset because it's a loss of power. They keep mentioning this jargon that China is a threat. And as I watched this program, and the name of it is called "Can America and China Avoid a Collision?" But the professor used certain examples, of what the United States did when they became a superpower. And the excuse that the United States is using is that, well, if China becomes number one, they're more like a dictatorship. They're not a democracy. Well, first of all, it's like, who is the United States to tell another country to change their system when it's proven successful? And their people appear to be pretty happy, and they do have a high rate of success. And it is, this is one of the things that the United States has done when they became the number one superpower. They want to tell everybody else how to run their house, and they stay in other people's business. And as you can see, obviously, we're so busy in other people's business that we failed to take care of home. We failed, and they're basically upset because they're being replaced, and it's a loss of power globally. And the United States, they are being replaced. I'm gonna say it just like that. They are being replaced by China. China is the new dog. That's the new sheriff in town. And all I can say is, for the United States, saddle up and learn to get along, and accept your position, because when you held the number one position, you did not utilize it properly. The United States, it abused its privileged status. It abused it. It abused it. They didn't take care of business like they should. They didn't take care of home, first of all. Second, they spread themselves too thin by getting in other people's business. Starting, unnecessary wars and spending all this unnecessary taxpayer money so that those that own these huge corporations, Boeing, McDonnell Douglas, so that the elite that own these corporations and whoever else is tied into it, so their pockets could get fat at the expense of the American people. Greedy. They call it capitalism, but capitalism for who? A bunch of greed and selfishness, and now it has come back to cost us. And they gave the big bailout money, to the big corporations, but they don't want to give it to the American people that need it. And you can't have the 99% without. I said it before, the elites, you have to share. The United States, has to share instead of trying to dominate the world. They want to dominate the whole chessboard, and they didn't want to share. Well, now they've reached a point where they have no choice, basically, but to share, because you're being displaced from the number one position. And hey, the elites may not like it, but it is what it is, and they can either accept it the easy way, or they can accept it, the hard way. So the U.S. is going to have to come up with another strategy and get ready to get along, with China and, other nations in the world, and stop trying to bully and rule everybody, because their season is over. And you could see it. The U.S. season is over. You cannot have a GDP I'm talking about since this pandemic, just depleting. And, 25, a nation as rich as the United States, $25 trillion a year. And you tell me you can't bail the American people out while this pandemic is going on. They can do a whole lot more, but they refuse to. And that's one I would say is has a lot to do with our downfall. And they've reached a point where they're in a position where they back themselves in a corner, and they got caught slipping. The United States is like a team that they were world champions, they had a dynasty, and it could have went on further, but China came up and caught them from a different angle, and they capitalized and they took advantage. One thing I like to point out is that when President Trump made those remarks about those African nations being S-hole countries, being ish-hole countries, and I'm not going to say the word, but I'm quite sure many of you know what he said. But China goes in there and be like, okay, the West, you guys, United States, or the West, I don't want to develop, we'll go in there, we'll do it. And now look what's happening. And Africa is definitely, that continent has several countries that is on the rise, and actually before 2050, but definitely by 2050, it's a wrap. The United States can hang it up, but they are being replaced fastly by China, fastly, and I'm just going to call it. The United States, will become number 2 in terms of the world superpower, and China will become number 1. And when I say fast, I'm talking about it's less than 10. Saying probably might even be within 5 years. So that's probably why the United States is itching to probably pick a fight with China, because if they let China continue at its current pace without picking a fight with them, then China's just going to blow right past them. You can't stop their growth. So maybe a war might help to try to slow it down or disrupt it, but the game is over. The game is over. The United States, it's like, hey, to the elite, y'all gonna have to suck up that L. Suck up that L. They miscalculated, and you didn't take care of the dynasty that you had. You did not take care of your position. So as a result, you have lost it, and you are now being replaced. But I just had something quick that I wanted to share, and I'm going to leave the link to where I watched that podcast. But it was interesting, But that's why I shared a little bit about investing in China and Africa, because China, like I said, China is on fire. And that is that's the future. So it's like, hey, anybody that wants to get up on game or step their financial game up, you want to take a look at China and definitely take a look at Africa, because you can't ignore China and you can't ignore Africa anymore. It is what it is. And like I said, for those, hey, that choose not to, hey, that's your choice. We all make our own choices. Me personally, I am going to find out what I can invest in China, and definitely going to invest in Africa. I'm fitting to get with the program. You got Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, Microsoft, IBM, Elon Musk. I'm talking about these guys already. Got corporations already set up in China, and Disney is itching and begging to try to get a breakthrough in China. So that ought to tell you something. But that site, it was Columbia SIPA. Just go Columbia SIPA YouTube. But I'll put a link for it. I'll leave it in the description. But that's all I have for this one. But again, the name of this podcast is Snack Thoughts, and this episode is called United States Move Over. There's a new sheriff in town, China. But that's all I have for this episode. And the name of this podcast is Snacks Thoughts. That's SNAKZTHOUGHTS, Snacks Thoughts. And you can find me on Anchor platform, Spreaker, Radio PBM, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and a host of other social media platforms. And I also have a YouTube channel, which is Eric Broadus YouTube. That's ERICBROADUS YouTube, or ericbroadusyoutube.com. So you go up to my YouTube channel, please subscribe, tap that bell for all, so you get future podcasts, live streams, and videos, and share it. Share Eric Broadus YouTube and share Snacks Thoughts. Please get it out. Leave comments on my YouTube videos. I would love to dialogue with you and love to get back with you, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. You know, I do believe that the United States and China is headed for a collision, but the United States is they getting upset because they're losing power, and they itching to pick a fight with China because they don't like the idea that they're being replaced. But that's all I have on this one, guys. Happy Friday, and have a good Labor Day weekend. I'll be loading some videos on my YouTube channel, continuing my series. And have a good Labor Day weekend, guys. And I will catch you on the next one. Thank you guys for listening and watching and hanging out. Peace out.